I'm going private for my ADHD assessment and also nearly got kicked off the NHS waitlist. Geese. Get ill or get a migraine? Yeah, I actually have a migraine. Good morning, everyone. My God. Welcome back to another weekly vlog. You join me yet again, looking like a pile of shit. Yay. It is currently 8:30 in the morning. I'm sitting down to edit a video at 8:30 in the morning. Today, I'm going out with my mum, so I'll be going to see her. And I've got a very slow week this week, I think. Oh, I've got a very slow week this week. I was in Scotland, I was doing lots of different things. This week, I don't have big, massive plans. I'm going to Manchester on Saturday. It's Trans Pride, so I'll be vlogging that. But other than that, like I've got a slow week, which I think is good because I need the mental rest, if I'm honest. I need the chillness because big day on Saturday, last Saturday. If you didn't know, I run a queer collective in Newcastle with some of my friends and we had our yearly big event on Saturday. And it's just a lot. It was like a 12 till 12 kind of thing where me and the other admins were hosting it and now I'm making a video out of it, but it was just a lot. It was just a lot. It was a lot. One thing that I've been really enjoying recently are bandanas and then putting little clips in because my hair at the moment, it's like in an in-between phase where I'm growing it out but it needs a little trim and it just doesn't look right without anything in it. So I've been wearing bandanas, but let me tell you, I think they're a vibe. Like I think they're really cute. They're really cute. And another thing, I'm wearing another skirt. Look. This is my outfit. I found this in a charity shop. It's like some old person's skirt, I guess. And it's cute. It's cute. It's blurry. This is Daisy, by the way. I don't actually know if I've shown Daisy in a vlog before, but this is Daisy. She's a fiberglass duck that I found in an antique store in Bakewell. She was very expensive. She was very, very expensive. But she's unique because there's only 5 that exist in the world and they're all a little bit different. And she was moulded off a vintage hookah duck from the fairground, okay? They found a guy to make a mould and then create a fiberglass version of like the original that they had. And then I saw her on top of a shelf in the store and I was just like, I'm having you. And I was with my friends and I was like, can someone please convince me to like not buy this? And they were like, no, you need it. So I bought it. And isn't it great having financial freedom as a 23-year-old who just shouldn't be spending their own money? But yeah, I love ducks. Like one of my special interests or like intense loves are ducks. Like I just think they're so fucking cute. So I've got lots of ducks in my flat. And when I saw her, I was like, you're coming home with me. And one thing about Daisy is, if you put a very bright light underneath her, because she's hollow, she glows. So like, she can glow as a giant rubber duck, which I just think is absolutely fabulous. And like, why would I leave her there? Do you know what I mean? Like, if I see her, why would I leave her there? I'm going back to Chesley Street today. Don't know why I do this to myself. Chesley Street is where I grew up and I'm going to see my mum. I hate the place. A lot of queer people like will feel what I feel when I say I don't like going back to my hometown. Because the thing is with Chesley Street, like it's actually not a small town. It's quite large in the grand scheme of things, but it has small town mentality. And if you know what I mean by that, you know what I mean by that. It's like a lot of people there just don't understand or have had no experience in anything other than their own life, which is very valid considering it's quite a like deprived area. But it just means that growing up queer or autistic or marginalized in any way, you just feel like a complete outsider. Every time I go back there, I'm like anyway, if anyone's from Chesley Street, I feel sorry for you. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. I might be getting ill. The thing is with me though, sometimes I feel like people get this when they get cold sores. I either get ill or I get a migraine, but it can start as where I feel like I'm getting ill and then instead of it progressing I get a migraine instead. So I don't know what I'd prefer, because my last migraine it literally lasted like 2.5 weeks, so we'll see. Little squish. This is the most precious bean. Cats are so autistic. They're so autistic. Like, I relate to River on such a level. It's so intense. I'm so sorry that I just haven't bothered to do anything presentable. Good God. Anyway, since the last vlog, I've got myself a new jigsaw. It is Jane Austen's Book Club. It was £2 in a charity shop, and when I find a cheap colourful jigsaw, I have to buy it. And these ones, they're like really great quality jigsaw puzzles if you're looking for a great quality jigsaw. Okay, and it was £2. So maybe a cheeky little time lapse is in order. When I got it, it was in a Ziploc bag, and the edge pieces and corner pieces were in a separate bag, and I mixed them up and tipped them all in because I can't do that. That's cheating. It is cheating. My mum does that and it annoys me, and I mix them all back up. Stars shining bright above me. Night breezes seem to whisper that sycamore tree. Dream a little dreamer. Oh, look at your little squish. The little squish. Oh, watching Heartstopper, everyone. Say hi, River. Whoa, this is such a fabulous angle. Good morning, everyone. Haven't really filmed much so far, but that's okay, because today is where it gets exciting. I'm going for a haircut, and then I'm going to see some ducks and some birds. Follow along for that. I just wanted to have a little chat about the fact I could potentially be getting my ADHD diagnosis tomorrow. I say potentially because, you know, you never know. They might tell me I don't have ADHD. However, I highly doubt it. I think they've made it very plain and clear that I am most likely going to be diagnosed. But I've actually gone private for my ADHD diagnosis because I'm in a position at the moment where I felt like I could afford to pay for it. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about my experience again with the NHS. Like, I went down the right to choose pathway again, like I did for my autism assessment, and it was again in the Durham catchment because that's where I was registered for a GP. And the local centre, the mental health centre that are meant to look after people who are waiting for assessments for autism, ADHD and go to therapy in the local area, they are shit. They are so bad. They were one of the main reasons why I honestly nearly just didn't get my autism diagnosis, because they were so invalidating and they made me feel so small and tiny, and they have once again proven themselves to be shit. When I got a phone call the other day and being like, hey, we've noticed that you're waiting for an ADHD assessment. Bearing in mind I've been on the wait list for a year. We've noticed that you're waiting for an ADHD assessment and we just don't understand why. And I was like, right. And they went, who told you that like you might have ADHD, because there's nothing in your autism report. And I was like, oh, well, when I was waiting for my autism assessment, like a couple of conversations that I had, people were like, hey, maybe you should go for an ADHD assessment because I'm not really sure that that ties in with autism, like even in my assessments. And they were like, yeah, but that's not in your autism report. And I was like, because it's an autism report. Like I maybe they just didn't note it down because it was ADHD, but they told me that's not an autism trait. Maybe you should look at getting an ADHD diagnosis. So that's why I referred myself. And they were like, like we just don't understand why you're down on the wait list because there's nothing to indicate that you have ADHD. And I was like, I've been on the wait list for a year. Like, you put me on the wait list because you thought I had a valid reason for going for an ADHD assessment, and then a year later you're ringing me and saying maybe you don't. And I was like, it is what it is. I'm going private now. You can discharge me from your care. And I just said, out of interest, would you have taken me off the wait list after this phone call today? Because is that why you're ringing me? Because you think I shouldn't be going for a diagnosis? And she was like, well, probably not. And I was like, so you're telling me because you couldn't find any evidence in my autism report as to why I should be getting an ADHD assessment, you potentially are going to take me off the wait list? Like, if I hadn't gone private and I hadn't be, like, going through my assessments in a different way for a diagnosis, I would be shit scared, because after a year of being on the wait list, they can just insinuate that they're just going to, like, take you off like that because there's nothing in my autism report. I said to her, I was like, I don't understand what you're expecting to find, because it was my autism assessment. Like, why would there be mentions of ADHD unless they felt it was necessary? Because they just told me, we think you might have ADHD as well. Why would they put that in my autism report? Because they probably thought it wasn't fucking relevant. Like, I don't know the ins and outs of how that works, but, like, it's an autism report. It's all my autism traits, not ADHD. Honestly, I was baffled. And she was like, okay, so can we discharge you then? And I was like, yeah, genuinely. And to be honest, I'm thinking about putting a complaint in about the whole thing, because they're meant to be like a care team that look after you while you're waiting for something, and the amount of invalidation. They told me once that I didn't need to go for an ADHD assessment if I already had autism, because they're the same thing apparently to them. They were like, we're not really sure that you're autistic because you have a degree. Please tell me why these people are in, like, positions of care when they have opinions like that. Like, when I said that I had a literature degree, the woman on the end of the phone was like, oh my god. And I know statistically a lot of autistic people drop out of university, but you don't treat people like that. When I say that I've got a degree and I think I'm autistic, you don't get to go, we're probably not, because you managed to get through university. I never said I had an easy time of it. As if I, like, didn't have the understanding that I do about, like, my own brain or autism or whatever, and I was quite an impressionable person, I would soak up everything that they were saying and think that it was gospel. This is why self-diagnosis will always be valid in my eyes, because we have systems in place that just do not look after people and invalidate people and make people feel tiny, and they're so inaccessible, they're so invalidating. It's a fucking nightmare. I just thought I'd give you a rant about that. This is my outfit for today. It's another skirt. We're double layering the cardigans because it might be a little bit chilly this early in the morning. If you can hear Noel Gallagher in the background, pretend you can't, because I don't want to get copyrighted. But yeah, and I got my little socks on, and I've got a bandana on that's covered in fruit. What an absolute vibe. What a sleigh, if I'm honest. Anyway, see you in a bit. Fuck. That one is massive. Aww. Look at its little tuft, man. Oh, there it is. Aww. Geese. Do you not think they're proper funny looking?
Who?
Yeah. Good point. What? Hey! Oh my gosh. I wonder if any of them have met David Attenborough. Doubt it. 360. It's my new hair, guys. Do you know what I mean? Lovely. Absolutely stunning. Good morning everyone, this is potentially the least exciting vlog I have ever filmed in my life. However, today I'm back to therapy this morning, and then as soon as I get back I have a meeting that is potentially going to diagnose me with ADHD. So we'll see how that goes. Excited? Not excited? Then I might, depending on the weather, go into town and go to the new the place that sells cinnamon buns, that's actually American, but there's now one in Newcastle. Cinnamon buns, one of my favourite things to ever have, ever, and now there is a dedicated place that sells different flavours. So if I get diagnosed with ADHD, might go into town to treat myself to some cinnamon rolls, and then maybe just have a little wander about and spend too much money because I might have just been diagnosed with ADHD, and like, I'm gonna treat myself, of course, why would I do anything else? Yep, back to therapy after 6 weeks. Had a break because we were both busy. Now I'm going back. Oh, also had a haircut. Just got the sides shaved. Don't really think it looks that different. Just had some weight out. Hot shit, in my opinion. In my opinion, hot shit. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I think I've never necessarily recognised the hyperactive part of it. But it's definitely there. It's something that I dismissed. Yeah, like I think I dismissed it for a while, but then after getting my autism diagnosis, like there was so much that I still felt like I struggled with, but I had no idea why. Guess who just got diagnosed with ADHD? Guess who just got told something that they already knew? Ooh! Like honestly, it's not news to me. It's not news to me. I've known for a very long time. Now it's just on paper, so I need to think about whether I want medication, because to be honest, it's not really something that like I've ever, it's not that I don't want meds, I just don't want to become reliant on them, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I do feel like I could live without them. But then I know lots of people who said that, got meds, and then were like, I could not go unmedicated now because I didn't realise like not how bad I was, but how like much they benefited from being on them. So we'll just see, I guess. I'm now going to take myself into town. I'm going to go in and have a look in a vintage store, and I'm going to buy myself some cinnamon buns. When I tell you that these are the best cinnamon buns I have ever had, I absolutely fucking mean it. These are delicious. And currently I'm making myself some stuff to put on top, so it's just a cinnamon bun that says ADHD. Nice. Happy ADHD. Yay! Happy ADHD diagnosis. Oh my god. Nom. Good morning, everyone. Apologies if you can hear the man outside filling up his car tyres. It is currently a lovely Friday here in Newcastle, so I'm gonna go and sit in my mum's garden because she's got a lovely little sun trap, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna soak in all of the sun rays. I'm gonna get some admin done, I'm gonna do some reading, catch up with my mum, might even get myself a Morrison's salad. Now, I'm not a salad kind of boy, okay? I'm not a big salad person. Why would anyone be a salad person? It's fucking leaves. However, Morrison's salad bar is the shit. Like, it is the shit. Thought I'd just talk you through how I actually got my ADHD diagnosis, because I feel like I actually haven't sat down and said. So I've been on the NHS waitlist for about a year, but about like 2 months ago or so, after I got my PIP, I was like, okay, this money is to help me as a disabled person, you know, be able to live my life. So I thought, I'm going to use this money to go private, because I could be waiting another 2 years, 3 years for an ADHD diagnosis on the NHS. At the same time, I went to an event in Newcastle, and there was a load of stalls from local neurodivergent ran businesses, and one of them was a company called Divergence, and the woman who ran it, she did a lovely little talk about how they were brand new, they were opening up in the next few days at the time, and they were going to be offering ADHD and ASD assessments. They had no wait list because they were new and they were not taking NHS contracts. They had no wait list, and I was like, damn, if this isn't a sign from above, from the neurodivergent gods, I hope they're listening, please give me a break. If this isn't a sign to go private, then what is? And I'm not kidding, I booked my assessment for like the next week, or at least like the initial assessment, and I'm diagnosed now, and I could have had it all done within the space of like 2 weeks, but obviously I dilly-dallied around, I've been on holiday, I've been busy. So like I didn't get it done in, you know, the time that you can get it done. So I've now waited 2 months for a private diagnosis versus something that could have taken 5 years on the NHS. I will leave a link to the website below. As far as I'm aware, they only operate in the northeast. I don't think they offer it to people outside of that catchment, I think. But if you're in the northeast of England and you feel like you want to go private, I'd like to point out that it is private, so I did have to pay. However, it wasn't, you know, the extortionate prices that you see upwards of like 1.5 thousand. Do you know what I mean? It's not even cost me £400, which is obviously a lot of money. But one, if you get PIP and you feel like you've put enough aside, go for it. If you are fortunate enough to be able to just afford that, go for it. If you just have the chance to be able to go with them, I would do it. The people that run it are really, really lovely. The majority of the team are neurodivergent, so they know what they're talking about. The woman that did my assessment, she knows what she's talking about. She's very caring. I felt validated the whole process, and it was very much like led by me. I felt like when I was on the NHS, like if I didn't provide the information that they needed, it was like you were like a failure. Whereas with her, it was sort of like she understood that, you know, the nature of being autistic and ADHD means that, you know, you're gonna burn out, you're gonna forget, you're not gonna know 100% what you're doing all of the time. And I just felt very held, you know, while I was going through that process, which is completely needed because I feel traumatized by my experience with the NHS. It also only took like 3 sessions, so like I had like an hour-long session with her on my own where it was like she would chat to me and do like a basic brief assessment. Then I got sent like a load of documents that were for me and my parents to fill in to do with like my childhood. But because I'd already been diagnosed as autistic, she was like, can you send me all of the like the diagnostic papers that you got afterwards, because why should I sit and go through it all again with you when it's on paper? So that cut the time a lot. So I sent her all of that because that's like all official things that go through like the DSM-5. So I sent her all of that, which helps to cut time. So if you already have a previous diagnosis or you've had another assessment, like that can really help if you've got all of the papers. Then I had another like official sort of like more intensive sit down chat, but I'd like to add that it wasn't like, she didn't sit me down and go, do you struggle with this, do you struggle with that? She did it where it was like, we're going to talk about your day, a day in the life of Ella waking up and Ella going to bed and everything that you do in between and your feelings and what goes on within that. And I scored 9 out of 9 on inattention and 7 out of 9 on hyperactivity. But on my childhood information, I scored 6 out of 9, but on different ones. So she thinks that I probably do score 9 out of 9. She just didn't have the adult information in order to tick 9 out of 9. But 7 out of 9 is still enough for a diagnosis. And I was shocked at the inattention, no, the hyperactivity, because like I didn't necessarily think that that was something that I did, but she was like, no, I've been watching you, you do. So yeah, there's that. I'll probably do like a full-on sit-down video like I did with my autism diagnosis, but it's going to be a whole lot less traumatic than that one. If you want to go and watch my autism diagnosis process, I had to make it in 2 parts, potentially even 3, I can't remember, because it was horrible, it was awful, it was a fucking mess. They're on my YouTube if you want to go and watch them. Anyway, I'm gonna get ready, I need to leave.
When I was struggling and was unable to receive treatment from the NHS, I would spend...
Mum's house is just a shrine of me. Me.
They also try and push people away from themselves. Money that's been currently worth around $18 million.
Oh, what are you meowing about? Eh? Today already hasn't started off in the best way possible. Yesterday when I was at my mum's, I left my camera and my glasses there. She messages me, you've left your camera and your glasses, and I thought, oh shit. And I thought, oh, I could live without them. No. She gets up at 6:30 and she drives on over here to drop it all off. So she's just dropped it all off and it's now 7:30. So now I'm going to get ready for the day. My train at 8 AM was cancelled, which to be honest was probably a blessing. Now it's at 9. I'm about to get ready for Trans Pride Manchester. Woo! What's the matter? Oh, my sweetness, come here. What's wrong? Do you want some attention? Poor little chicken, she's sat there meowing. What's wrong, baby? It's okay, I'm right here. I'm right here, chicken. I am ready. I've gone with a very beige outfit, but like, and I'm not really sure why, because I'm going to Pride. But like, I felt like wearing this. I've got my Save Trans Youth t-shirt on, my linen skirt, and my new Doc Marten mules, which I'm very excited about. I'm not entirely sure why I went with a completely beige outfit. However, hang on, focus on my eyes, because they're fucking stunning. Come on now. Focus, because they're really stunning. I promise you. Come on now. It's not gonna work. Anyway, this is me. I've gone through a massive journey recently where like I've really fell back into loving being feminine, but it's on my terms, and it feels like it's like it is the most joyful I've felt, and it's the most euphoric I've felt in clothing, but it feels like I'm just wearing clothes. It doesn't feel like I'm walking into the woman's section of a clothing store and picking something up. I'm picking up like a piece of fabric that feels good on my body, and I look at myself and I feel the most like myself, and the most like myself since like realizing I am non-binary, and like I felt like I ran headfirst into I must be androgynous, I must be masked. I don't know what the statistic is, but there's a huge proportion of trans people who are autistic, and it's also a massive issue when it comes to healthcare, because a lot of the time trans people are invalidated because they are autistic. You're not trans, you just don't understand yourself because you're autistic, where I actually feel like being an autistic person and understanding my autism is actually the reason why I understand the fact that I am a trans person. It's the reason that I am where I am today, because when I figured out I was autistic, it led to unmasking, and it meant that I discovered so much about my identity. It's more that it takes me a little bit longer to process my emotions and know what's going on. And I think that can be seen as a very negative thing, whereas for me I actually see it as a massive strength of mine to a certain degree, because I sit with my feelings and I understand them, and I've got to a point where I feel so content in my life because I've really come to terms with so many different things about myself, and if I was to stay like this with my life for a long time, I'd be so happy. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I tell my younger self, is that just because you don't have the language for it yet, it doesn't mean that it's not real, and it doesn't mean that you're not ever going to find the language, and even if you don't, it doesn't mean that it's not real. You're not making up these big emotions just because your shitty little school teacher told you that you were making it up and that you were dramatic and attention seeking. You're not, it's real, and one day you're going to find it, and one day you're going to have people around you that make you feel so seen and so heard and so loved, and you're going to be happy at the age of 23. Woo!
Is
I don't have anything to say. Good morning everyone, it's currently Monday. I am ending this vlog here, but Saturday was amazing. Oh my god, first ever Manchester Trans Pride. There was like 3,000 people in the march, which is just absolutely amazing, and there must have been like at least 200 people in the room on the panel that we did. I hope I got some good clips of the panel. Claire, my friend who was filming, was just like, some of them are not stable or sturdy. I think she was crying, I don't know. It was so emotional, like, it was so emotional, and not even in a negative way, but just in like a, we're surrounded by people that are just so wholesome and lovely, and we all have shared experiences, and it was just a really special moment, I think. And like after the panel was done, we talked for like an hour. After the panel was done, quite a few people came up to me and they were either crying or they were just being really lovely. So if you're watching this and that was one of you guys, thank you so much. And I got to meet a lot of people as well in the crowds. Genuinely such a wholesome space, like, and they'd thought about everything. Like they even had a space at the front that was more accessible. They had a space at the front that was for COVID vulnerable people, and it was just like, yeah, it makes me feel like Newcastle needs a trans pride. Maybe somebody should do that. I don't know who said that. Yeah, I actually have a migraine as well. I haven't had one since that really bad one that I had last month, but I think the more and more that I'm like tracking my migraines, they are really tied to when I've been socializing. They're really tied to when I've had like a heavy social time. Like the last one that I had, I'd just been to London Pride, and now again I've just done a big Pride event, a big speaking event, and now I have a migraine. And I think it ties in with dehydration as well, because when you're in those environments you're not thinking about drinking. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this vlog. I will see you in the next one. I'm thinking about maybe doing a weekly vlog, then a daily vlog in the next week, and then a weekly vlog. So maybe next week you'll see another daily vlog on a day where I'm doing something. I will see you in the next vlog. Bye!